afternoon, the Prime Minister has called on beef farmers to end their blockade of British ports. It follows another night of protest as farmers tried to stop the entry of imported meat. Downing Street has played down suggestions that a new aid package is being drawn up and has described the farmers' action as unacceptable.
The government call for farmers to end their blockade of ports came after last night's tense scenes in Dover. 250 farmers tried to stop lorries from the continent entering the port. 3 farmers were arrested. This morning, the Prime Minister said there was no pot of gold to compensate farmers and that the scenes of confrontation must end.
But I have to say that the rule of law must be upheld, the freedom of movement for goods must be in place, and the scenes at some of the ports and harbours do not help the farmers' case. So we will do whatever we can to help and are doing that, but the rule of law must be upheld and we will ensure that it is.
Beef farmers have mounted protests across Britain today. At this one at a meat packaging plant near St Austin in Cornwall, there were attempts to stop lorries carrying beef. In Cardiff, the Welsh Secretary, Ron Davis, was given the message from beef farmers firsthand. There were no promises of extra money, and he urged them to lift their blockade of ports.
A man's been sentenced to life imprisonment for the rape and murder of the schoolgirl Kelly Ward. She disappeared last December in Chester on her way home from a chip shop. The judge recommended that Sean O'Shaughnessy serve at least 30 years in prison.
The 9-year-old disappeared just before Christmas last year on an errand to buy chips. She'd been living with her family in a hostel for the homeless. Cheshire Police organised a huge search, combing the streets of Chester, the canals and rivers. But a month later, Kaylee's body was found by a boy walking his dogs on the banks of the River Dee. An unemployed 31-year-old man, John O'Shaughnessy, who lived in the same hostel, was charged with her rape and murder. In court this morning, O'Shaughnessy pleaded guilty to both charges. Sentencing John O'Shaughnessy to a minimum of 30 years in jail, Mr. Justice Maurice Kay said there was no crime more horrific than the murder of a child. What O'Shaughnessy had done to Kaylee Ward was depraved, cruel and cowardly. In the public gallery, Kaylee's family greeted the sentence with shouts and applause. Her mother said justice had been done, but life would never be the same.
The South African Truth and Reconciliation Committee is to serve a new summons on the former President P.W. Botha. This morning, Mr. Botha again failed to attend the hearing after being called to testify about human rights abuses in the apartheid era. The Truth Commission won't be able to charge him for not appearing because of a legal technicality. The Space Shuttle Columbia has landed in Florida after a 16-day mission that went wrong because of the botched launch of a $10 million satellite. Now the shuttle's 6 astronauts face an inquiry into what went wrong to leave the satellite spinning in space. Although it was eventually retrieved during a spacewalk by 2 astronauts, it failed to collect any information. And that's it. More news at 3:25.